U.S. military. Mohammed was that rare personification of the neoconservative narrative about the U.S. invasion.
The first day the American army entered Baghdad, I handed out juice and candy in the street to celebrate our liberation from Saddam.
Before September 16, 2007, Mohammed had never heard of Blackwater. Now he thinks of them in that day every waking moment. He remembers that Ali was not supposed to be in his car that day. Mohammed had just pulled away from his family's home on his way to pick up his sister Janan and her children for a visit. Ali came running out of the house.
He was quiet the whole ride. But then we passed a newly built park, a garden. So he turned to me and asked, "Daddy, when are you going to bring us here?" I told him, "Next week, hopefully, if God wills it."
Mohammed and Ali picked up Janan and her 3 children and made their way back home. The return journey would bring them through Nisr Square. When Mohammed found himself in a traffic jam at the square that day, he thought it was a U.S. military checkpoint. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary to him when he saw the armored vehicles block off traffic.
One of the guards gestured towards us with his hands. This gesture means stop, so we stopped. I and all the cars in front and behind me stopped. We followed their orders. At that point, I didn't even know they were Blackwater. I didn't know it was a security company. I thought it was some sort of American Army unit, or maybe a military police unit. In any case, we followed their orders.
As Mohammed and his family waited in the SUV, the man in the car next to them was frantic. "I think someone was shot in that car in front of you," he told Mohammed. It was then Mohammed watched in horror as Blackwater gunners, for no apparent reason, blew up a white Kia sedan in front of his eyes. Inside, Mohammed would later learn, were a young Iraqi medical student and his mother.
There was absolutely no shooting or any sign of danger for us or Blackwater. No one was in the slightest danger. Suddenly, in the flash of a second, they started shooting in all directions. And it wasn't warning shots. They were shooting as if they were fighting in the field. By the time they stopped shooting, the car looked like a sieve. This is the only way to describe it, because it was truly riddled with bullets. They finished with the first car and turned their guns on us. It turned into the apocalypse.
As chaos and blood flooded the square, Mohammed remembers the fate of one man in particular who tried to flee the Blackwater gunmen.
Everyone was trying to escape. Whoever wasn't shot dead in their car just wanted to escape somehow. When one man tried to run, they shot him. He dropped dead on the spot. He was on the ground, bleeding, and they were shooting non-stop. They shot like they were trying to kill everyone they could see. He sank into his own blood. And every minute, they would go back and shoot him again. And I could see his body shake with every bullet. He was dead, but his body shook with the bullets. He would shoot at someone else and then go back to shooting at this dead man. This man is dead in a pool of blood. Why would you keep shooting him?
As Mohammed sat in his SUV with his 9-year-old son Ali, his sister Janan, and her 3 children, he realized that for them, attempting to escape was not an option. As the shooting intensified, Mohammed yelled for the kids to get down. He and Janan did the same.
Bullets were coming from the right and the left. My younger sister was trying to cover me with her body, so I pulled out of her grip and covered her with my body to protect her. I have pictures that show the headrest of my sister's seat is full of bullet holes.
موجود عندي صور. يعني فشي.
It was horrific, extremely terrifying. I still wake up from sleep, startled. Why, I asked. Why would they do this? We were civilians sitting in our cars. Most of the cars had families in them, so why did this happen? I kept hearing boom, boom, boom in my car. Bullets were flying everywhere. It was horrific, horrific. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. After they had killed everyone in sight, my sister and I kept still. I had her rest her head on my lap, and my body was on top of her. We would sneak to peek from under the dashboard. They continued shooting here and there, killing this and that one. Then it cleared. Nothing was moving on the street. Only the Blackwater men were moving. Then they drove off.
It seemed to Mohammed like a miracle had blessed his car. We're alive, he thought. As the Blackwater forces retreated, Mohammed told Janan he was going to check on the man who'd been repeatedly shot by Blackwater. It was then Mohammed's world crumbled.
I opened my door and got out. When I got out of the car, my nephew said, "Uncle, Alawi is dead." My sister started screaming, and I turned to look at Ali. I turned and saw that his window was broken. It was shot. I looked at him, and his head was resting at the side of the door. I opened the door to see if he was okay. I opened the door and he started falling out. I stood there in shock, watching him as the door opened, and his brain fell to the ground between my feet. I looked at his brain on the ground, and I pushed him back into the car. I told my sister that they had blown his brains out. I started to scream, "They killed my son! They killed my son!" I was turning and screaming. People were standing on the roof of a nearby building saying, "Get out! Get out!" But I was in another world. They killed my son and I was looking at his brain. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I reached through the window to check his heart, and it was beating. I told my sister, who said, "Let's rush him to the hospital. Maybe he still can make it." But I knew his brain was on the ground. He's gone. I turned the car, which had no water, no tires, and I spun it around. I drove towards Yarmouk Hospital.
At the hospital, Mohammed was told that because of Ali's severe head injuries, an ambulance would need to rush him across town to a neurological hospital.
Riding in the ambulance, I was completely destroyed. My son was dying in front of my eyes. He was suffering. His arms were shaking. It almost pulled out the IVs. So I held his hand still.
بالسيارة يعني في لحظات ودقائق عصيبة جدا مريت بيها. شو أقول؟ قلت
He died. What can I say?
يعني فشي رهيب. هو ابني يعني
My son.
ابني يعني
Up to the night before his death, my son never slept alone.
That night, Muhammad returned home and his father greeted him at the door.
أنا أبوي أحب أخوي يعني أبوي هو روحي وحياتي.
I love my father. He's my friend, my life, and my father. He hugged me tight and said, "Son, be a man. Don't break down." Everyone else, my mother, my sisters, all broke down in tears. My wife told me, "I want my son from you. You took him, now give him back." She looked me in the eyes and said, It is you who took my son. I don't know what you're talking about. I want him back.